I know.
Was your ground firm enough?
We don't want this to be a chore.
Yes, I also took the balance. And so Thursday, when you had something done, the balance president told us, he's very energetic.
I know, every time I'm like, oh, no, there's two more. It's fine, I just do it once, it's fine.
I can't. Yeah, even the
There are a
balance.
couple of seats up, like there's a seat on the edge here, there's a couple of seats here, one there.
I noticed my balance is terrible. I've had
So good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. There's a couple of seats in the front if we end up with people who need spaces to sit. There's a couple of seats on the edge. So hopefully everybody will have a spot. So thank you for coming to our community input open house. We appreciate you very much. I think most of you know me. I'm Rachel Brickner, the director of the Senior Center, and I'm going to introduce you to some people who are here to help facilitate this session this afternoon. We have from the village staff, our director of community development, Elise Cruz, and we have the recreation programming coordinator,
Wow, I'm impressed.
Hello. Over here. Patrick Stern, who is a consultant with Tri-North Builders.
It's okay, it's close enough.
No, it's not really, it's different. Tri-North Builders. We'll explain his role in just a couple minutes. And then I'll just make you aware that there's also a few village board members in the audience. If you guys want to just kind of, they're on the side of the room. If you have any questions for them later, they're here as well. So, as many of you know, the Senior Center new building project has been percolating in people's minds for a long time, at least as long as I've worked here, which has been 13 years. So this is not a brand new idea by any means, but a little over a year ago, the village board decided to hire a consultant, and they hired Tri-North Builders to do some work in preparation for a possible new senior center building. And one of the things that the village board wanted to find out was what the public might want in a new senior center building. And so you're all here today to help us understand the answers to that question. And I'm going to let Patrick explain more.
Sure. So, obviously, the board made the decision, let's look at a new senior center. And part of that planning and design is not just looking at what's the best practice, but what fits the community. So the preview for today is that's the part that we're trying to get from you guys is, okay, what are the activities maybe that we haven't thought of? What is the look and feel of the building that's gonna make it feel like it's really Oregon? What's gonna create the most ownership? And it's also a chance for us to answer questions from the community. So there's staff people, there's board members, there's me. We're all happy to answer questions as we go through this, so don't feel shy. So kind of to that point about where we are, so obviously the village board looked at this area and said, okay, we've got this opportunity in this downtown to do something because the post office is leaving, the library has left, and that left, you know, a building that was built in 1960, roughly, that was taken over in 1980, that was a grocery store, in order to say, okay, what could this be? So we did a lot of nerdy architectural spreadsheeting to figure out what made the most sense on this site, right? What can the ground support? What are the best practices for senior centers? Who's the user? What keeps the space activated? So there's in development and in, city planning, municipal planning, there's a term called, best use. So that's really what we were looking for on this site. So that was our first sort of brush at the project, right? Like what on the spreadsheet could a building like this look like? And what all the data and input we got in that public phase kind of said a single story, single use site made sense based on what we had here for many reasons. We can get into that a little bit if you have questions. And then we actually said, okay, these are the spaces that we're sort of including in this. So as you go through this, just bear in mind, these are the sort of things that we're already saying, this is in the program already. So as you kind of go through, you can kind of say, oh, well, I really want there to be classrooms. Well, we've sort of got space set aside for that. So any questions, feel free to ask us. Take a look at the board of what we have. Part of that was the site analysis, right? Like again, everybody in Oregon knows there's a lot of water, but that doesn't mean that this site can't be built on, and that's exactly what we found. Then we went and we asked the board, okay, board, does this sort of initial first blush look okay? Board said, sure, let's talk to the community. That's where we are now. And then after this step will be sort of the village going out, finding an architect, going through specific design, because right now all we have is sort of a concept, right? It's just high level. It's nothing is set in stone at this point. So what we sort of went through and said is, okay, here's the current senior center, right? This little square right here, library, post office. If we take all that nerdy spreadsheeting we did and say, what does that look like in a building? This is essentially what it looks like. So the current building is about 8,000 square feet. What we're proposing based on demographics and community data, growth, sort of site, is about 31,000 square feet. For reference, that's about the size of the library, the new one. So the idea being, okay, so let's get the senior center because it's a senior center project first. But are there ways to activate this off hours? So one of the proposals is, if there's sort of a separately entranced community gym, is that an amenity that would be supported by the community, and what would be those things that would go into there? So some of our questions today are going to focus about just the gym portion and not necessarily the senior center. Most of them are senior center questions. But the other reason why we kind of propose it like this is that way the construction would not actually interfere with current senior center operations. We could build it, leave it up, tear it down, and finish the parking lot, which saves the village quite a bit of money. So having said that, you're obviously here, but if you know anybody else who you think would be a good person to come, and really anybody you know would be, please come on the 29th, the 2nd, and then there will be a further follow-up survey very specifically about that gymnasium space sometime right during spring breaky time for families. So, having said that, I know that was a lot of information really quick. Again, I'm here to answer questions. I'm trying to balance the amount of information I give you right now and the ability to kind of come up and ask if you already feel like you know what's going on. So we've got some supplies up here. There are Post-it notes and stickies. Please grab a stack of Post-its and some stickies, because some of the questions will be just put a sticky dot by whatever thing that's on here that makes sense to you. Some will be please write a short, like, I really like piano. I want piano space. We put that on there. We'll have people at the stations to answer questions and kind of guide you through. There are 7 total boards, 2 in this room, 5 in the other. There's no order to it, so don't feel like you have to wait in a line. Just kind of go to a board that's open and answer, so you're making good use of your time. Then there's a questionnaire in the Adult Day Center room. It's a really short, 6 or 7 questions. Again, it should just be kind of quick. You can drop them in the basket and then go. And that's all that we're asking for today. I will leave this slide up because it can be helpful to kind of visualize as you're asking some of this. I will be here. Leanne is there, and then we'll have some staff in there. I think that's everything. Did I miss anything this time?
Not that comes to my mind.
That's what I thought too. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't something else. So, with that, Feel free to get up and grab your supplies, ask us questions, whatever makes sense for you guys.
And then reading different posters for the different
Okay, and feel free to look at the board for the amenities that are sort of already in the program as you're going through as well.
I'll just look at the board first.
My space is one being a kind of a small studio space, and we try to just put these pictures out to try and give it kind of a visual. And the other being a bigger gymnasium kind of space. So you might want to look at both before you start writing down. If you look at this one and go, oh, I really like yoga, but it's not on there. Well, it's because it's on here.
Spreadsheet called a kitchen manager office or something like that. So it's in the plan.